guys, Tez here and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how I managed to save up enough money for a house deposit. Now I know there's a lot of financial gurus out there who tell you how to save properly, how to make your pounds stretch further. Obviously I am not a financial guru, so what I do you take with a pinch of salt. But if you're interested in how I done it and all you potential homeowners want to know how to dunk a biscuit, then stick around and you just might find out.
Welcome back to my channel. We've got Tea with Tez, and in this episode we're going to show you homeowners how to dunk and dip.
The first rule I followed was the 50-30-20 rule. Now I don't know where this rule really came from, but I think one day I just googled best way to use your money or something and it came up, and I think you're meant to use 50% for all your needs, so like your bills, your rent, your mortgage, 30% for your wants, so your car, your holidays and all the bougie things that you like, and then 20% you're meant to use that for your debt repayment and for your savings. Now this is a little bit flexible, so at the moment I would say I'm probably maybe at 40-40-20 or 50-40-20 depending on the month, because my main debt is the mortgage that I have, and even though I'm trying to save a little bit, I'm mostly invested in buying things for myself that I like to put in my house, because sadly the houses do not come with furniture. So at the moment I'm probably on 50-40-10. Now this rule is obviously not a rule that you have to follow down to the T. You can make it flexible to suit your needs. It might be that your bills and your needs are pretty much next to none, in which case you don't really need to divert 50% of your income to that, so you can save it maybe towards saving or maybe paying off your debt if you have any. So that's the first main rule that I used really. At the moment I am on £700 a month, which is for all my expenditure, and that includes fuel, that includes food, that includes any expenses that come up in the house, like if the light bulbs go out, if I need a new toaster. I don't, but you know, examples. So yeah, that works for me at the moment. I feel like it might be a problem with lockdown easing and people inviting me to go out for drinks, because my budget doesn't really account for that. So I feel like I might need to rejig the system in a few months. For now I'm just saying no to all social events, so if you feel like inviting me somewhere, don't, because I'm not coming. So after I worked out how much money I should spend a month, I then decided to track my spending for 2 to 3 months. So I was tracking everything from my fuel, my food, any drinks that I have. When I say drinks, I mean like chai teas or bubble teas, nothing too exciting, and well, exciting for me, but things like that. So if I buy a jigsaw puzzle for example, then I put that on my tracker, and the tracker that I use is just one that I got off the Numbers app. So if you have a Mac or an iPhone, you get the Numbers app for free, and if you look at some of the templates, there's like a budget app type thing, so I just followed that and then I tweaked it a little bit. Took me ages, but I tweaked it so I can see how much I'm spending for each category every month, such as expenses, healthcare. So for example, I wear glasses and sometimes contacts. For the fuel that I spend, for self-care, I like plants, buy a lot of plants, put that under self-care and things like that. So I just tracked it for a little while to see what I was actually spending my money on and to see where I could cut back, so that way I know exactly what's going on. So now what I do is every purchase that I make, I have to add it to the app, and that way it helps me to keep a diary of everything I'm spending. And also when I get to £600 I start being really stingy, because in my head I'm like, I only have £100 until the next payday. So that works for me, but obviously it doesn't have to work for you. You can use whatever budgeting app you want to use. I just went for the Numbers one because it's free and I don't have enough money to be paying other people for their excellent Excel spreadsheets when I can make my own. As part of that, if I spend over in 1 month, that means I have less the next month. So what I do is I carry it over. So if I spend £50 extra in February, that means in March I have £650 left instead of 700, and that way that keeps me in check. I know it's a little bit too strict, but it works for me and I need discipline. So I also got a lifetime ISA, which is an account where you can pay in £4,000 a year and the government will give you an additional £1,000. Now this is kind of similar to the Help to Buy ISA, except with this one you can pay as much as you want, as in you can pay the whole £4,000 in one go, or you can pay 10p, 10p, 10p every day. Whereas with the Help to Buy, I think it was £200 a month, and if you paid more it got refunded back to you. But I think the schemes are pretty much the same. So I got one of them, and I had it for about 3 years, I want to say. Yeah, at least 3 years, because I got 3k free from the government. Now the problem with the LISA is that that money can only be used for your first house, and you have to have it open for 12 months before you can withdraw it to make your first house purchase. And another thing is, if you've already bought a house, you can't withdraw that money unless you're about to die, so if you have a terminal illness or if you're turning 60. So luckily for me, I used that money to buy my first house, and that money transfers to your deposit, so you can't use it for yourself. Whereas I'm not really sure how it works with the Help to Buy, but that meant that because I had the ISA for 3 financial years and I paid the full amount, I got £3,000 extra, which I added to my house deposit. Isn't that great? Another thing that I had to have was discipline. So I employed this save now, spend later scheme, where when I get paid, I automatically take £500 out and I pay that towards my ISA. And once I reached my 4,000 limit, I put it into a savings account. And that way I just had whatever was left. So let's say I got paid 1.5, I would put 500 away, and that meant for that month I only had £1,000 to live. Now I know this sounds very excessive, but I think in your head, if you're used to seeing £1,500, then you will spend £1,500. But if you can only see £1,000, then you only spend £1,000. I think there's like a saying that the more you earn, the more you spend. So the less you have, the less you spend. So that's what I used to do. So I put £500 away. Now this was very difficult for me because I do like buying myself gifts, like I've mentioned before. But I've started doing this thing where I write down a list of everything that I want, maximum of 10 items on that list. And for me to actually buy myself something, I have to look at that item and compare it to everything else and decide which item I want more. And if I've managed to save up a bit of extra money that's not accounted for, then I can potentially buy myself that thing. But if not, then I don't get it. So for example, at the moment I'm currently trying to decide whether it's worth spending £13 on an Animal Crossing puzzle. Now I know that sounds ridiculous, but I need discipline, because once I start spending, it just goes awry. So I've been contemplating this puzzle for at least 4 weeks. Still not bought it, still going strong. I would really like to buy it, but I'm holding out as long as I can until I actually have the money in advance for me to be able to say, okay, that's fine, I spent £13 less last month, so as a treat, I'll buy myself the puzzle. See, things like that. Just living in hell. Isn't it fun? I'm joking, I am not living in hell. Another thing I followed was living below my means. Now I know everyone always says you need to live within your means, but I've tried to live below my means. So when I got my mortgage, I had the Mercedes. If you didn't already know, your girl drives an A-class. Beep beep. So when you buy a house, the maximum that the bank will give you is 4.5 times your salary. Now because of the Mercedes, the bank would only give me, I want to say either 3.7, maybe 3.7, between 3.7 to 4, somewhere there, because the Mercedes came out of my gross salary, so then that reduced it, in times it by 4, it's less or whatever. But because they did that, that actually meant that I got a mortgage which was a lot lower than what my maximum would have been. So now when I repay my monthly payments, it's not as strenuous as it would have been if I'd gone for the 4.5 max. So I tried to go below my means, and that way I'm not struggling for money. I mean, I'm still broke, so don't invite me out, but you know, I'm not struggling for money. I have bigger goals, bigger plans, you know. You also need a lot of patience. Now I've seen a lot of YouTube videos that say how I managed to save 40k in a year, how I managed to save £1,000 a month, and honestly that wasn't my reality. I've got to live and I only get paid so much. I literally, like these people who say 40k a year, I don't even get paid 40k a year. So for me that was never going to be an option. So you just need to look at you, assess your finances and your situation and see how much you can save. I managed to save £500 and I was doing that for over 3 years for me to get 18k, which then was supplemented by the bank. So don't feel that just because someone is buying, you see me say, oh girl, I bought a house, but I've been grinding since I was a pre-reg, since before that even, to save this money so that I could buy a house. So for me, it wasn't a thing of I just woke up and I decided, do you know what, I want to buy a house today and I'm going to buy a house today. I've been saving for a long time. I will admit I might not have been saving for a house some of the months. I mean, I was saving to go abroad or whatever, but you know, it never worked out, so I just thought, why not use that money and then start saving again. So don't worry if it takes you ages, you just need to be patient. Like, it took me over 3 years to save 18k, and some people save 40k in a year. So you know, just whatever works for you. Like, we can't all be rich, you know, some of us actually have to work. Another thing is I didn't have an inheritance. I know some people sometimes get an inheritance when family members pass away and the money gets divided between the family. That was never my situation, so I had to save the money to buy the house, and that's also okay. Like, you just do what you have to do in your situation. If we all lived the same life, then there would be no point, because we would know exactly what would happen. Another thing is I managed to live at home. Now, I know that's not always possible for everybody. People have different relationship with their parents, or because of the location, people are not always able to live with their parents or family members, and you might have to rent, which is also fine. That just means that it might take you longer to where you want to go, but luckily I've been told it's not a race, so you're fine. So because I lived at home, my bills were minimal, and even if you live with somebody, your bills are a lot less compared to when you live alone. So I was able to save a bit more money that way. Lastly was Missrona. Now, obviously Missrona came and ruined everyone's plans. No one was going on holiday, no one was going out. Your expenditure was a lot less. All you needed was food, but really in comparison, that was still a lot less than going out to eat at a restaurant or whatever. So I feel like I managed to save a little bit more money that way. Now that things are opening up again, I know that it might become a bit harder to save or do some of the things I just said, but personally I worked it out and it costs me £20 a day to live in this house. So unless I'm going to make money by leaving, or if I'm going to make memories, or if I feel like it's worth my time leaving, I am staying right here, not going anywhere. I've paid a lot of money for me to be in this house, so I'm gonna stay in it. Paid, I'm gonna stay, make the most of my pound. Moving on to book of the video, which is Heart and Hustle by Patricia Bright. I really enjoyed this book because it's such a good story about how working really hard can sometimes yield good results. Now, I know that sometimes when you work hard, things don't always work out in your favour, but this is just a nice story about how sometimes it does, and it just shows you how Patricia went from waking up with her older sister to go with their mum to work, because they then had to go to school after that, to now owning a business, having a successful YouTube channel, and all the other things that she's doing. So if you want to feel good read or an inspiring story, then I highly recommend this book. Anyways, let me know in the comments if you have any questions or video suggestions. Don't forget to tap the like button because it really helps me out. Subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you so much guys for 500 subscribers. I'm so happy. You have no idea how happy it made me. Like, when I saw the message came through, I was like, yes, like I've been aiming for 500 for, okay, sure.